How's it going? It's Tyler from Lead Liftoff, and today we're gonna go over my exact Google Ads optimization routine, what we do daily, weekly, monthly for my company and for all of our clients. This document video goes over exactly the way I optimize Google Ads campaign for the goal of long-term success and growth. The four steps here, we're gonna go over first the optimization schedule that we use, then what we do daily, weekly, and monthly. Here's a snapshot of the last 30 days for one of our clients, just to prove that I know what I'm talking about. In 30 days, we had 222 conversions at a cost per conversion of $66. So getting right into it, the optimization schedule. There's only 7 core ways in which we actually optimize our Google Ads campaigns. These are the optimizations that we do that are actually built into our SOPs, our standard operating procedures, and they're on the calendar and we do them every day, every week, every month. We do it on this regular basis. So this is exactly what we do. Every day we do the search terms and keywords. Every week we listen to the call recordings and adjust our target CPA. And then every month we do the 3 big bidding changes. You don't have to do the same exact schedule that we do. We actually do change this a little bit depending on account. So if one account gets very few conversions by nature of the account, then we're going to expand the time between each event here. But if an account, spends a ton of money and they get a ton of conversions, then we might increase the frequency that we do these things. So instead of doing these things monthly, we might do them every 2 weeks or something like that. So you just take whatever makes sense for your business, but this is the general idea and it's generally what we do. So daily, what do we do daily? First things first, search terms. This is probably the most important thing that we do, and this is why we do it every day, and we do it to stay on top of this. And if you get one thing from this video, I would recommend doing this daily, at least weekly, but preferably daily. So why do we do this? Well, every day your ads are getting seen and clicked by people who are searching on Google. That's the whole point of these search ads, right? But it's critical that we have full control over who's even seeing the ads in the first place. This is something I'm a huge proponent of, and it's when you're focusing these ads, you want to make it so only the highest intent people even see them. So what do? We go to the search terms page here. So you go campaigns, insights, and reports, search terms. And on this page, you're going to see a list of all the searches that your ads have appeared under during whatever your time frame you set. So since we do this daily, we do this just for yesterday. So we set it so we see all the search terms that have been there since the last time we checked it. And this is what you'll see. You'll see a list like this. Now, what I do here, once we're looking at this big list of people, sometimes I sort it, but you don't really have to sort it because what we do is we go through every single one. And that's why we do this every day. Because if you don't do it for a month, you're going to have hundreds of search terms to go through. And to be honest, that's just a lot. So we do it daily. What do? What is it that I'm talking about? So what we do is we go through these search terms and we determine the searches that we don't want our ads to show up under. So in this example here, this is a plumbing campaign example, and these are competitor names: Bailey's Plumbing, BPI Plumbing, Mike's Plumbing. We don't want our campaign showing up on a competitor's search, right? That's just, sometimes people do that. It's not something we do. It doesn't convert very well. We want to capture the root phrase of this search and put it as a negative. So in this case, it's Bailey, BPI, and Mike. In another case, it might be a how to do, or how much does this cost, or whatever it might be, because you're going to find things for competitors. You're going to find things for people trying to do DIY. You're going to find things that are completely unrelated. You're going to find so many things in here that you'll be shocked that your ad actually showed up for. So capture the root cause of it. We have a tool that we use to make this 100 times easier. It's called Keyword Me. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I'm just a customer, and I know the guy who owns it. He's a great guy, and I think it's a great tool. And we use it because it saves us a ton of time. What it allows you to do is you just copy something and then it puts the brackets around it, which we're going to need. And I'll bring that up in a second. You most definitely don't need to use it. You can just use a Google Doc, but it just makes my life easier. But anyways, what we do is we go in here and we copy the root keywords of the things we do not want our ads to show up for. And once we get those, we go to the negative keyword page, which you can find in campaigns, audience, and keywords, and then keywords. Then you select negative keywords up here, the big blue button. And then once you're able to do that, you can paste your negative keywords in here and add them to your campaign. Now it's important, this is how we do it, to add them as exact match, which means they have those brackets around them. And that's where that tool comes in handy because it adds those brackets automatically, but you can do this yourself manually. And that's it. That's the big thing. So we add the root of bad keywords to our negative keyword list. And what this does is it allows us to never show up when somebody searches Bailey ever again, which is exactly what we want. So that's the goal of here. And that's the first of 2 things we do every single day. The second thing we do every single day is work with the keywords we already have. What this is focused on is targeting keywords that are getting us customers, but that we didn't specifically call out initially. So we want to re-add those to our campaigns because, when you campaign, right, you have all these keywords you're searching for, and then Google takes a little bit of liberty and it expands your search Well, it might find something when it expands that gets you really good conversions for cheap, but you didn't specifically call it out. So we're now going to add that to our campaign because that can lower our cost per lead on that specific keyword. So how do we do it? Just like before, we're going to search terms. So campaigns, insights, and reports, then search terms. But this time, the way we sort it actually does matter. So what I do here is I sort by conversions, and then we just focus on the ones up top that have gotten conversions over the last day. A lot of times you're not going to find anything in here that's worthy of what we're going to do, but we just do it daily because we're already in here for the other part. So it takes hardly any other time to just do this as well. But what we're looking for is a keyword that has resulted in a conversion, and the cost per conversion is below our target goal, and it's in the correct ad group. So in this example here, the picture's kind of small, but I wrote it out here for you. The search term is licensed plumbers near me. We had not called that out specifically. We called out plumbers near me, but not licensed plumbers near me. It resulted in a conversion in the plumbing near me ad group. Perfect. And the conversion was 34.33, which is well below our target. So it meets all the criteria. So what we're going to do is we're going to click them, the ones that meet that criteria. Then we're going to click this add as keyword right here, if you can see that. And then we're going to go in here and manually put those brackets on them and then save. So what this does is it adds these keywords as exact match keywords because we know that they're getting us good results already. So we want to really focus in on those. And those are the two things we do every single day in an account. And now let's transition over to what we do every single week. So keep in mind, even though we do these things weekly, on the days that we do the weeklies, we're still doing the dailies. So just this is an on top of thing. And this is why we have it all SOP'd and we have, a checklist of these things to do because it's easy to get lost and all the things to do to optimize a campaign. But super important. But it's super important to stay on top of this stuff to make sure your campaigns are running well. Makes a huge difference in the long run. So first thing we do every week is listen to the call recordings. We use a call recording software called CallRail to track all of our conversions. And it has a feature where it records calls and we listen to those calls because Google can only tell us so much and we can only tell Google so much. So what Google sees as a call, they think as a success. And we look at our screen and we say, oh, we had 10 calls this week. That seems successful. But if we don't actually listen to those calls, then we don't know the true quality of them, right? So what we do is every week we go through, listen to them, and we start to notice trends, right? You'll notice a trend of maybe we're getting a lot of out of town calls. That must mean something's seriously broken in our campaign and we need to go fix it. So doing this will save you a ton of money in the long run just to kind of see the trends. If you're a business owner right now and you're running these ads yourself and maybe you're the one picking up the phone, then you might not need to do this as much because you have your finger on the pulse. But if there's any sort of discrepancy between the person who's running the ads and the person who's picking up the phone, it's very important for the person who's running the ads and making these changes to also listen to those calls. So the way we do it is we have an Excel sheet that we track everything in. Again, that's just because we're more systematized than most. You might not have to do such a robust thing, but we take a spreadsheet and then we mark it as a qualified call, a lead, a booked, potential lead, no lead, bad call, and we put a little note about it. So yeah, we go through that and that's how we do this. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, but it makes a huge difference when you listen to this because you'll catch some things. I mean, I've caught where it's like what I said earlier, someone's calling from out of town and I looked at the campaign and there was a mismatch in the location targeting. So if I'm, targeting Texas and someone in Florida is calling the business, well, they're never going to become a customer. So it's very important to find these things, and I would have found it way later if I wasn't listening to every single call. So there's that. The second thing we do on a weekly basis is adjust the target CPA. This is a really quick one. Target CPA is just a bidding strategy where you're targeting an ideal cost per lead. We typically switch campaigns over to this after about 2 to 3 months in, or whenever we have enough data to do so. And when you're doing target CPA, it's important to stay on top of it to make sure you're targeting the right number because you don't want to be spending too much per lead and you don't want to be bidding too little to where you're kneecapping yourself and you're not actually getting any traffic. So that's kind of what we do. We go in to make sure that our target CPA is either not too high, not too low, or just right in the middle, kind of in that Goldilocks zone. So for example, let's say our target CPA is $55. If we look at the past history and we have got a bunch of leads for $55 over the last week, and it's a great amount of leads, we're going to try to lower it. We're going to try go to 50. Something to note here is maybe don't go any more than $5 at a time. We tend to do $5 just because it's a nice round number, but I wouldn't do any more than that. It can be too drastic of a change for Google and it might, screw up a lot of things. So just do little adjustments. And what you'll see is, okay, let's say we drop it down to 50 for a week. So then we watch it again for another week and we see, okay, did our lead flow stay about the same? And did we reach that $50? If maybe we try 45. But what ends up happening is that once you go low enough, you'll get to a point where maybe in the past you're getting, 30 calls a week, but because you lowered it, now all of a sudden you've only gotten 15. Well, there's your threshold. So you go back up to the $5 before. So maybe 55 is a sweet spot for this campaign. So we go back up to 55 and we stay there. Now, the reason we do this weekly, it might sound like a set it and forget it situation, is because things change all the time. Things are seasonal. The bidding changes. Your competitors change their bidding. Things are always changing. So it's important to stay on top of this and to make sure that when you're doing a target CPA, just at least sanity check it every week to make sure that you're targeting the right thing. So that's it for weekly. We've gone through the dailies. We've gone through the weeklies. Now let's go through the monthlies. There's 3 things we do every single month, and they all involve bid adjustments. The first thing is device bid adjustments. These are critical. They can make a huge difference. That's why it's up first. But why do we do this? So the device bid adjustments are all about bidding different amounts depending on if someone's on their phone, a tablet, like an iPad, or a computer when they're looking at your ads. Now, typically what we see is phones convert the best, then computers, then tablets. But that does not at all mean that that's what you're going to see. And it can change depending on campaign, depending on industry, depending on however many different factors you can imagine. So this is how you find the device bidding. You just go to campaigns, insights, where the ads were shown, and devices. And what we do here is we just look at the big 3 devices, the only 3 devices, tablets, computers, and phones, and we make bid adjustments based on the data. So if computers, for example, have a cost per lead that's $50 higher than the phone cost per lead, what we're going to do is we're going to slap a negative 10% bid adjustment on that. So here's bid adjustments here. And the way we do this, we typically only do negatives. We don't do positive for devices. And what this means basically is I'm going to bid 10% less money to show up on a computer. And what this does is it allocates budget to phones more. And it tells Google that I'm not willing to spend this high cost per lead on a computer because I want it to be more similar to my cost per lead on a phone. Important thing to note, I wouldn't do big swings here. The most I would do is negative 10% at a time. Typically, we do 5% unless there's like a huge discrepancy between the cost per conversion on them. Then we'll do 10. And this is a monthly thing. So every month in here, if you're at negative 10 already and you want to make a change, you can go down to negative 15. Don't make a big swing from where you're at right now is what I'm trying to say. As you can see here, tablets, we have at negative 100 on this campaign. And that's because, after 2 months, we had no conversions on a tablet. So we just turned it off. It makes no sense to keep it on if you're not making any money on it. So we turned off tablets on this. But this is a pretty important one to make sure your devices are working well. If your campaigns are anything like ours, you'll see that phones are where pretty much all the money's made. Sometimes computers do well too. So next thing here is the ad schedule bid adjustments. And this is the same premise as the devices, but instead of devices, it's based off day of the week. So here's how you get to it: campaigns, audiences, ad schedule. And then I just sort from by cost to conversion all the way down. And I look at the most expensive days and I see how different those most expensive days are to the other days. And again, I only do about a -5 to -10 absolute most bid adjustment on these. But on this one, I will do a +5 or a +10 if one day is significantly cheaper than the rest. So just, again, every month, just hop in here, take a look, see how your cost conversion is doing. On the expensive days, you drop it by 5%. On the cheap days, increase it by 5%. If you're around the middle, just keep it the same. So that's a simple one here. And then finally, the last one here is the location bid adjustments, which, if you're noticing the pattern here, this is going to be the same exact thing as devices and day of the week, but based off the locations you're servicing. Now, this can get a little more complicated because you kind of need to know your system a little better. You need to know like which locations are actually turning into customers, which locations are financially better for you. There's some factors to that. But despite that, it's the same idea where I'm sorting, by cost high to low on all locations, and I'm looking at the ones that have a very high cost per conversion or a very low cost per conversion. So if the cost per conversion is very high, I'm going to add a -5% all the way up to a -10% bid adjustment on them. Or if the cost per conversion is very low and we're getting a ton of it, I might do a +5 or +10%. Again, I'm never moving more than 5 or 10% at a time, and I'm doing this every month. But just to recap, that was pretty much everything I do here. Get back to my title screen. This is what we do. So every day we're doing those search terms and keywords, easy wins every day, make a huge difference. Every week we're listening to those call recordings and we're adjusting that target CPA to stay on trend. And then every month we're doing the 5 to 10% swings on device, location, and ad schedule bidding. That's all I've got today. Check out the description below. I've got 2 links down there. One of them is for you to check out the setup offer we're running right now. I think it's a great deal. For a one-time payment, we'll build you a Google Ads campaign using the same best practices that we use. And for 30 days, we'll do what I just showed you today. I'll do all this optimization for you. We'll make sure your campaigns start off on the right foot. You get free management for 30 days, and then it's yours. No retainers, no nothing. It's your campaign that you own forever. And then I also have a link down there if you just want to work directly with me for us to run your ads for you. That's an option as well too. Click that link, book a call with me, and we'll see if it's a good fit. All right, I hope you liked the video. If you got some value out of it, please leave a like. If you want to see more like this, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.